Welcome to the Texas High School Football Coaches Show on Lone Star Gridiron. I'm Chris Daly, and it's my belief that the men that make up the fraternity of Texas high school football coaches are much more than a bunch of thick-necked guys with whistles. They do so much more than teach technique and the X's and O's of football. They take young boys and change them into young men of character. They get kids to believe in themselves, to trust others, and to put others ahead of themselves. Texas high school football coaches are unique in how they impact the lives of these athletes as well as the generations those kids touch. In this show, I sit down with a different Texas high school football coach each time and learn about them. Not their record, not their on-field accomplishments, but who they are and what they believe and what it means to be part of the greatest sport in the greatest state. Hey everybody, welcome back to the Lone Star Gridiron Texas High School Football Coaches Show, Season 4, Episode 17. I'm your host, Chris Daly, and today my guest is from Gobbler country. That's right. Home of one of the most unique mascots in Texas high school football, the Cuero Gobblers. I will introduce you to Coach Travis Reeve right after this. Hey, I want to give a big thank you to this season's title sponsor, Mecca Sportswear, where they are all about celebrating achievement. They're honored that so many high schools, colleges, and universities have chosen Mecca's products to represent their institutions. Mecca supplies you with the very best in custom letter jackets, chenille letters, patches, blankets, banners, pins, certificates, and much more to motivate and celebrate achievement in athletics, academics, or the arts. They create high-quality custom awards that will fit your budget. To see why so many great schools around Texas choose Mecca Sportswear, call Sherry Armstrong or Billy Armstrong at 210-651-6592. Mecca Sportswear, the premier suppliers of letter jackets and awards for over 40 years. Hey, I want to introduce you to our newest sponsor. It is 99 Pledges. And if you're looking for a quick and easy way to raise a bunch of money for your sports team, 99 Pledges is the best way for football teams and booster clubs to raise the most money with the least amount of effort. Donors can donate online. Each player gets their own donation page that they can share with their friends and family all over the country, like grandparents in Florida by email, text, Facebook, or any of the social media outlets. By going online with 99 Pledges, it's easy to spread the word about your fundraiser, keep everyone involved and informed. Because of this, 99 Pledges has seen teams raise over $30,000. And teams like the Katy Tigers have exceeded their fundraising goal. That's the best part. Teams keep an average of 95% of what they raise. Players don't have to go door to door or track down donations. They can save all that energy for where it counts, on the gridiron. Check them out at 99pledges.com. They are an excellent organization. You're going to be so glad that your next fundraiser is through these guys. All right, everybody, join me in welcoming Coach Travis Reeve from Cuero to the show. How you doing, Coach?
Doing good. Appreciate you having me.
Oh, you bet. You bet. First off, I try not in this show to talk about your football team, but it's difficult not to right now.
Sure.
I have to congratulate you on the state championship.
Well, I appreciate that. It means a lot, and it's been a great experience.
Nice. So you've got coaching in your blood.
Yeah.
So talk a little bit about that with your father coaching.
Sure.
and
I grew up a coach's kid. My dad, when I was young, was the defensive coordinator at Clark for 13 years in San Antonio when Clark first opened, and he had some stops before then, Jefferson before that, and then I got to play high school football for him when he took the head coaching job in Victoria High School, and so through that experience of growing up, with him and He was on a great staff there at Clark. Mike Robbins was the head coach. Danny Padron was the offensive coordinator. Lloyd Alexander, who later became the head coach at Clark. Wayne Condra, who's now the head coach at El Campo, played for my dad there at Clark, and then was our defensive coordinator. And then when we got to Victoria, Leonard McAngus, who's the AD now in Victoria, was our offensive coordinator. And so, and many others. But just had was very fortunate to be surrounded by a lot of great coaches. And the biggest thing about those guys was the fact that it was more than just about winning games on the field. And the older I got, the more I understood that. They had a lot of success there at Clark and in Victoria, and but it's the relationships that they built along the way, and the impact that they made was really what inspired me to want to go into coaching. And because there's just something unique about it, and you don't get a chance to make a difference like that in a lot of other professions, and so that's had a tremendous impact on my life.
So how early would you say that decision was made?
Oh, I probably knew I was going to be a coach when I was probably 7 or 8 years old.
Nice.
I can remember, our elementary school was right on the other side of the parking lot of Clark High School, and so I walked over to Clark every day after school, and they would have plays drawn up on the board or whatever, and so it wasn't long before I was trying to draw my own plays and that kind of thing. And I was at practice every day, and I was just always watching, and I just really enjoyed it. At that time in the early mid '80s, high school football in San Antonio was really a huge deal. I mean, Clark would play Judson and Churchill and some of those, and I can remember playing in, city championships in Alamo Stadium, and the entire stadium was filled to capacity in some of those games. And so, just that environment, really caught my eye and intrigued me. And then, like I said, as I got older and really understood what coaching was all about, really cemented the fact that that's what I wanted to do.
Right. So then went off to college. Where was that?
Well, I signed with Southern Arkansas University out of high school to go play football. Went up there for a year, and decided that I wanted to come back to Texas. After playing at that time 5A football, which was the highest classification, in Texas, went up there, and there'd be about 500 people at the games, and I guess I was spoiled, so to speak, playing in Texas, and so I wanted to come back. Went to transferred to Southwest Texas at the time, now Texas State, and finished out my college career there, and had a lot of fun. Played football there, and had a great experience.
Nice. So, take me from graduating college, stop by stop, every job you've had to today.
Well, starting that last year at Southwest. Well, I keep calling it Southwest Texas State. I was going to do my student teaching in the fall, and then I was going to graduate in December, and I'd already knew where I was going in San Antonio. And my dad calls. He was the head coach of Victoria at the time, and they had a science teacher who had left like 2 days before school started, and that was one of the things I was going to be certified in. And so, long story short, I was able to go on an emergency certification to Victoria, and that's where I started my career, and taught science and coached freshman football, and had a lot of fun doing it. That was my dad's last year there in Victoria, and our varsity team was undefeated district champions that year for the 7th straight year in a row. Victoria went 7 years in a row not losing a district game.
Wow.
And that started when I was in high school, so it was kind of neat to see all that. And then we go. My dad takes the head coaching job at Plano West. Plano West was a brand new school, and we were opening a new school. And so followed him along with some of the other assistants on our staff. Went to Plano West and was there for 3 years. Had a great time. It was a great place, and I had an opportunity to become offensive coordinator at MacArthur High School in San Antonio. Van Fushak was the head coach. Mike Honeycutt, who's like a second dad to me, he was the original head coach at Clark High School when Clark first opened, and my dad had worked for him there and at Jefferson. And so to be able to go and coach with him was really a neat deal. And I was there for 2 years, and then during that time, my dad had actually retired from Plano West, went to Alice for a season because of the retire-rehire type deal, and then he got the head coaching job at Cuero. And the first year he asked me to come with him, and I said no, I was going to stay at MacArthur. And the second year, he said you need to come down and just watch us practice one day in spring.
Right.
So I said okay. So they break the huddle. And our left tackle is like 6'5", 270. Our left guard is 6'3", 265. And so on. I mean, all the way down the line. Our tailback was 6'2", 225. And they were bigger than anybody we had at MacArthur High School, in this little 3A school in Cuero. And I said, yeah, I think I'll come. And so I came, and that first year was 2004. We played for the state championship game, and we lost right at the end of the game to Abilene Wiley, but it was a great experience. And I was here from that time through 2009. And then both of us left Cuero. He retired from high school coaching, went to go coach with Danny Padron as the defense coordinator at TLU. And I left to go be the offense coordinator at Churchill in San Antonio with Glenn Hill, and spent 2 years there with him. And then this job here in Cuero opened back up in 2012, and spring of 2012, and had the good fortune of being able to come back as the head coach, and this is my 7th year now.
Nice. So you mentioned your father. I'm sure he was a big influence as a coach.
Yeah.
Talk about some of the coaches that were influential and what you picked up from them.
Well, I think there's like I said, a bunch of them. Starting with Coach Honeycutt. Coach Honeycutt is a legend in Texas high school. Coaching in Texas high school football, and the thing that I've taken from him, and really indirectly through my dad as well, is really how to build relationships with kids, and that coaches are here to make a difference in our kids' lives, to serve our kids. There's not a coach in the state of Texas that works harder and loves kids more than Coach Honeycutt. And everybody that comes in contact with him, every player probably feels the exact same way that I do, that he's like a second dad to him. But that's just kind of the guy that he is. And he is a coach that my dad tried to emulate in many ways, and I have too, and has had a big impact on our family. And then Mike Robbins, who was the head coach I told you at Clark, was very much the same way. His greatest asset was from my perspective, was just how he was able to motivate kids. His players would run through a wall for him. He loved them, and it was a lot more than just about the wins and the losses, but, about, developing men. Then guys like Wayne Condra and Leonard McAngus, were tremendous, Christian influences on my life as a high school player. Coach McAngus, was our FCA sponsor. Coach Condra would, help a lot with that, and take us to Colorado for FCA camps, and so we got as both me and my teammates, we got so much more from them than just learning offense and defense, and that I still look back on today. Volley Williams was another one of our assistant coaches, and some of the things that he would do in our goals meetings and things, or challenge us with, I still think about as an adult. And and obviously my dad, The things that he's done. One of the most impressive things about, as an adult, looking back with my dad. My dad was inducted into the THSCA Hall of Honor in 2007.
Right.
And, during that process, I was able to witness guys that, had played for him back in the early 80s all the way through, 2007, and how they still saw him as a great mentor, for them, and how much he had meant to them.
Right.
And it was really an eye-opening experience about really this is what coaching's all about. And so, as we've developed our program, we've tried to take some of those lessons and try to emulate some of the things that I've learned from the coaches that have impacted my life, and try to do for the same for the kids that are in our program today.
Nice. Talk about the differences. You mentioned Plano West and Cuero. They couldn't be any more polar opposite. Talk about the differences in communities.
Well, it is. Plano is a very transient area. It's an area that, you have a lot of people who have had a lot of success in the corporate world, that live there. You have a lot of entrepreneurs that have really made it big and successful there. And so, whereas Cuero is a rural community, people that have had, success for generations in the business or the agriculture or the trades or whatever. But there's, Plano West was kind of like a hustle and bustle type place, where people kind of came in and out. Cuero is a place that, there's a tradition that's been here for a long, long time. And, and it's a community filled with, both of them were communities filled with tremendous people. And so, the kids come from different backgrounds. They have different life experiences. But, there's a lot of similarities too. And, kids are kids and they have the same needs. They have the same wants and desires, and our job is to meet their needs where they're at, and try to develop them into the young men that those communities expect them to be.
Right. And
I think that's very important.
Yeah, you talk about expectation and tradition. Mm-hmm. Walking into this job at Cuero, there had to be a lot of pressure there.
Sure. Oh, there was. Cuero has had a lot of tradition for many years. Obviously, starting back in the 70s with the Buster Gilworth-led teams, and the great teams of the 80s and 90s, and Cuero is tied for second with a number of state championship appearances in 11, with 11, and only one of two schools that's been in a state championship for 5 consecutive decades.
Right.
So, so there's a lot of expectation that goes with that. And, I think as a young head coach, that's something that I knew coming in, obviously having been an assistant coach here, but that I had to learn how to, process that and handle that, just from a personal standpoint, because those expectations, they can consume you if you're not careful. And one of the things that you got to have a balance, and you got to make sure that yes, we want to try to do everything we can to win as many games as we can, but we can't lose sight of what's most important. What's most important is making an impact on the kids that we serve today. Mm-hmm. And if we do that, then the winning is going to take care of itself. And one of the great things about here is we don't have to convince our kids that football is important. We don't have to.
Big.
It is. It's huge. We don't have to convince our parents that it's important that they're here after school to lift weights or come up here in the summer. And that's a battle we don't have to fight. And because they do understand that and they want that. And so it's a good thing. And expectations are high. But you want to be at a place like that because that's where you have a chance to win.
Yeah. And talk about kids in general. There's a lot of smack thrown around about millennials, but I've also heard kids are kids. So what's your take on that?
I think just like every generation, there's differences. I think the differences are the challenges that they face. I think the biggest difference between this generation and maybe the previous couple of ones is just the social media aspect. Kids do something, put it on social media. It may be trending worldwide within a day. You never know, but the social media certainly adds to that me component.
Yeah.
But before social media, you had the me component. It was just localized in your school or in your community. But I think kids are still the same. They crave structure. They don't admit that they like discipline, but when they don't have it versus when they do have it, they understand how important discipline is. And I think that kids, I think one of the most important things these days is, that kids want to know that they're, the coaches and the people that work with them, that they can trust them and that they love them. And, a lot of our kids, this isn't Quero, this is just in society in general. More and more kids in society are coming, from homes where they don't hear that very often. And so as coaches, I think it's important for us, to be that father-like figure in their life and to show them, what true manhood is. And it's not what society says, but it's doing things right and working hard and, being able to say, I love you, and following through on your commitments and things like that. And I think that hopefully within our program, and I think a lot of programs across the state of Texas, that's where coaches are making the most difference, is filling that gap where there may be a void for some of our kids, and being a role model, being a father figure, creating a family type atmosphere that kids can come to school. They know that they're loved. They know that they can trust those that work with them, and that they're going to be able to grow and develop into tremendous young men and women as a result of it.
Nice. So you also hear a lot in society, anti-football, the concussion issue, and you've got other states where they don't have professional coaches. If someone comes to you from another state and says, why is Texas so football crazy?
Yeah.
How can you explain that?
Well, I think tradition obviously has one thing to do with it, but I think the other thing is I think people in Texas understand the value of football and the value of athletics, and there's just I look at it like this. In school, we prepare our kids for college through teaching them math, reading, science, history, all those things. And all of them are very important. And I think everybody understands the value of those. But life isn't only about math, science, history, and English. All of us can attest that throughout our lives, we're going to face adversity in many times and in many different ways, shape, and form as we go throughout life, whether it's our family, whether it's our job, you name it, we're going to have to deal with it at some point or another. And I think one of the greatest values of athletics is that we are able to train our kids and teach our kids how to overcome adversity, how to handle those pressure situations, how to compete. Because, in the working world, the best jobs, you got to compete for them.
Right.
You got to work for them. They don't just hand those out. And if we've never trained our kids to compete, if we've never trained our kids to lead, if we've never trained our kids to be a valuable member of a team and put something or someone or somebody ahead of themselves, if we've never taught them, if we've never put them in adverse situations or pressure situations to where they learn how to thrive in those situations, then we have failed our kids. If they graduate and they've never learned that, then we failed our kids, because they're going to experience that, at some point in their lives. And so where are they going to do it? That, math class is devoted to teaching math.
Right.
English is devoted to teaching English. Well, where are we going to, teach those other necessary things that they've got to have along with math, English, science? Well, it's got to be in your extracurricular activities. And especially, I think, in athletics and in football, there's no greater place to learn those things than in athletics and football. It's the perfect microcosm of what life is all about, and it's why athletics is so important.
Definitely. Coach Travis Reeve, I want to thank you so much for sitting down, sharing a little bit of your insight with us.
You bet. Thank you for having me, and appreciate what you guys do for Texas high school football.
You bet.
This show is brought to you by the book, All I Need to Know I Learned from My Texas High School Football Coach, a handbook of wisdom for parents, young people, and yes, even coaches. Head over to www.learnedfromcoach.com and order your copy to support sharing the stories of these great coaches and leaders. That's learnedfromcoach.com.
All right, once again, I want to thank Coach Travis Reeve for sitting down with me and sharing a little bit of his story. Great stuff. Also, I want to remind you guys to please go out there and support these sponsors, because they are the reason I am able to bring this show to you every single week. Until next time, we'll see you at the game.